Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Friday morning to you all. Hope you guys are feeling fantastic out there. It is Friday. We're all happy and thankful for that. Start of the weekend. So, hope you guys are having a great start to your day, great start to your weekend whenever you're watching this. Got you an update, as always, on what's going to happen weather wise for today. And we're going to try to figure it out for you guys. Some areas seeing a little bit of winter weather, some snow flurries possible as far south as Tennessee today, a little bit later this afternoon. And we're still dealing with some leftovers of this system that will continue to bring rain across the eastern U.S. and even a lot of winter weather for areas in far northern portions of the Northeast as we continue to deal with a lack of any sort of winter for everybody else in the Northeast along the I-95 corridor. Basically, anywhere in the eastern U.S., the Ohio Valley, just lack of winter this year. And we're going to talk a little bit about that here in the next couple days as it's seriously starting to look like as we round off February. For us folks in the eastern U.S., there's no real legitimate chance of any appreciable frozen precipitation on the horizon at all. A lot of people are talking about this stratospheric warming events. This has gotten into the public, the people who, you know, I guess they take it and they think, hey, we're going to get some massive cold blast at the end of the month, early March. I mean, that might be the case, but for folks who are wondering, hey, am I going to talk about this pattern change, this stratospheric warming event, basically when you have the displacement of the polar vortex and it dislodges cold air to the lower 48? Are you going to talk about that, Mitch? I'm not, because one, I don't have really much confidence it's going to happen. I think that areas will see some very cold air, but I don't have much confidence it's going to get super far south. And then two, I don't really know enough about it. I know about the polar vortex and things like that. I know how it works, but as far as this stratospheric warming event, I understand the basics of it and what it does. But at the end of the day, I don't know what downstream effects these have. Just because you have a dislodgement of the polar vortex doesn't mean you're going to have an Arctic outbreak all the way to the Gulf Coast. Sometimes it does, but anyways, want to get that out there. Also want to mention thank you for the thoughts and prayers as I made my way all the way out to Mississippi yesterday, and pretty much all I got was a shelf cloud. So if you folks watch me on Twitter, follow me there, you saw the picture. It did not materialize at all, but I left and went back home with a smile on my face, like, hey, nobody was affected. I think there was one really big tornado, but I didn't even see any reports of damage. I think it was in northern Mississippi where it looked like it was rain wrapped, but I'm not even seeing any kind of damage or anything like that. So, it just did not materialize, which is a good thing. So we're all certainly thankful for that. But outside of that, I got home at about just before 11 p.m. Decent time to get about 7 hours of sleep. Comes my cat up on my lap here. And, it was good. So I really appreciate it. This intro is dragging on forever, but certainly want to show my appreciation there. But if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. If you guys got anything that I can pray about, please put it in the comments below. Let's get rolling because I'm 3.5 minutes into an intro. All right, so watches, advisories, warnings. It looks totally different than it did this time 48 hours ago. But you got some wind advisories still left over in the southern Appalachian Mountains. You got winter weather advisories up here in the far interior northern sections of New England and Northeast. Winter storm warnings up for a handful of counties up here in northern Maine, where you guys will see appreciable snow this over the next really 24 hours. But outside of that, not much. What's going on? This little positive tilt right here will continue, and this will head on off into the North Atlantic. Still deliver a rainy Friday. The rain hadn't even made it to my neck of the woods yet. It will here in the next couple hours here down here in South Carolina. But after we're done with this, quick cool down this weekend, and then I think next week will be even warmer, guys. And we'll talk about that sometime this weekend. I think areas will get into the 80s, even outside of Florida. So this is really going to psych out some of these trees. They're already several weeks ahead. I got a tree out here. I'm not sure what breed it is, but I got a tree that always drops its leaves late. But, man, it is already blooming. It's pretty wild. It's like it's wild. It's like the leaves were off the trees for a whopping 2 months. So it's pretty wild what we're seeing. There has been a true lack of winter. I would say this is the most lack of winter we've had since the winter of 2011, 2012. I know you folks in the Southeast remember that if you have any sort of memory of the past 10 years of weather or 11 years of weather. But If you see a cat in the background, I hear him moving around, and there's nobody in my house. It's pretty quiet, and I just left my door open, so I'm just going to keep rolling, not let it distract me. But the southeast today, there is a nice little line of storms moving out the Triad of North Carolina, upstate of South Carolina, that will continue to push through. We're not expecting much of any way of severe weather, maybe some gusty winds, but this will continue out throughout the morning hours. Maybe these storms will try to refire up down here in southeast Georgia, but not really expecting any severe weather. This will head on off. By the time I would say we get into late afternoon, most of this rain in the southeast is cleared off the coastline out into the Atlantic. Ahead of this front, Florida will be very warm today, widespread 80s. But check out behind this. Okay, this is for 4 p.m. this afternoon. Widespread snow flurries. I would say the only areas that might not see much of it is western areas of Kentucky and Tennessee. But listen, I mean, if you're in Nashville, a little bit later today, it'll be a cold day, well, first of all, but a little bit later today, some snow flurries, snow showers might drift into the city, and not really much of any accumulation at all. The ground's pretty warm, as it's been a pretty warm week up here in Kentucky also. But Kentucky, widespread snow showers, maybe even a burst of heavy snow up here might coat some surfaces. But as we get into this evening, these will kind of diminish. And then by the time we get into the overnight hours, it's not a big deal. So don't be surprised. Widespread snow showers in Kentucky today, areas of Tennessee, central to eastern Tennessee. Wouldn't be surprised at all. Typically, when you have these kind of fronts, this happens where it's warm one day and severe weather, and the next day it's snowing. That's not super uncommon for areas west of the Alps. But today we're dealing with some winter weather up here. Low pressure is taking awful track for basically anywhere from the interior Northeast to the coastal areas of the New England I-95 corridor. I mean, you got these low pressures tracking way up here. This is only going to support winter weather for sections of like northern Maine. So these tracks have just been ugly for winter weather fans. I mean, you guys saw some decent events the first half of winter, but man, it is just your typical February La Nina out here. Low pressure continues to track. It's very favorable for places like northern Maine, where this will remain all snow. We'll get into about midday. A prolonged period of ice for central Maine today. It will get quite slick. So, they only got winter weather advisories up for these areas in central Maine, but a solid glaze in central to maybe even south central sections of Maine today, and I'll talk about that. But you guys might switch to a period of snow. Stays all snow in northern Maine, and this pulls out. It might switch to a period of snow for the down east areas of Maine, southern Maine, coastal regions, and then this heads on off. And by the time we get into late tonight, it's over, and you wake up tomorrow, and you're left over whatever you're left over with. But snow between the entirety of the event, over a foot. For these northern sections of Maine, Caribou, probably a foot of snow after this is all said and done. Central areas of Maine, a few inches. And I want to mention these guys too in the far northern bordering counties up to southeast Canada. A couple inches of snow is possible. We'll zone in the Maine here for a second. And this is appreciable. This is a appreciable event for you folks in the northern half of Maine. But freezing rain is going to be an issue. I mean, this is, over 1/10 of an inch of ice showing up. Someone might get 2/10 of an inch of ice down here in kind of the south central, down east areas of Maine. So please be careful with this freezing rain. You guys have had a few freezing rain events this winter so far. Rest of the country, guys, I'm going to zoom through this very quickly. The south central U.S., very quiet day today. Nothing to speak of. The ridge begins to move back in. You guys start to kind of warm back up, but it'll still kind of be a chilly day. Some rain will try to enter the picture here in far southwest areas of Texas as we're waking up tomorrow morning. Outside of that, pretty quiet. North central U.S., outside some streamer action coming off the south end of Lake Michigan into areas of really, it's going to be hard to depict who exactly is going to see it, but it's probably going to favor more so northwest Indiana. This little streamer will come off, and it'll probably weaken by later this afternoon. And you guys in probably central to southern Indiana could certainly see some snow showers. Even southern sections of Ohio, some snow showers today, some snow flurries. But nothing to get anybody excited if you're a winter weather fan, that's for sure. Outside of that, had a little hiccup going there. We're getting into tomorrow morning. Just not a lot to talk about. Temperatures today, you get a brief winter blast where you guys have sub-freezing temperatures in the Ohio Valley. For today, it'll be chilly. Definitely bring your coat. And even down south, the deep south, you're going to struggle to get out in the 40s. After yesterday, I mean, I was out here, Mississippi, Alabama. It was warm. Had to take my hoodie off. I mean, it was pretty warm. It was very humid. It certainly felt like you're going to get severe weather. I tell you that. So it's awesome. This did not materialize. One kind of last warm day before the weekend very brief cool down comes in. I hate that we keep timing up these cool downs on the weekends. It's like, show the weekend some love with some of this warm weather, right? But it seems like we just torch during the week, and then we get a cold front for the weekend. We have done this literally 3 or 4 weeks in a row, and we're likely going to do it again next weekend. But of course, we don't have all the details of that. But it's going to be chilly. I mean, Texas, even chilly today. South Central U.S., Deep South. I mean, certain areas in like northern Alabama might not get out the 30s today. You're going to struggle to get above freezing for certain areas of Tennessee today. So it's a quick blast of cold air that moves through, but then you warm right back up tomorrow. It'll be kind of weird in the Carolinas today where you actually, the temperature might actually kind of just plateau or drop a little bit throughout the afternoon as a cold front blasts through behind this rain. But I mean, yeah. So just a tough pattern for winter weather fans, guys. And we'll mention this, guys. I think next week is going to be a scorcher for mid to late February standards. I think that you're really going to start to see some of these like cherry blossoms, stuff like that. I think they have the Cherry Blossom Festival in Washington, D.C. around, what is it, like March 20th or something. Josh, Severe Weather, he runs a YouTube page. He made a good point. He's saying that, there's a possibility that these might bloom and then be done blooming by the time you even get to the festival. So it's a possibility. But anyways, we don't know all that. But, go looking forward. We'll briefly talk about this. There is another system coming. Listen, the cold air is there, okay? It's not that we have lack of cold air. It's just not dropping south, especially southeast. Southeast ridge is really fighting, and it's influencing the weather in the northeast too. I know I say southeast ridge like only the southeast, but this affects, all the way up to the Ohio Valley. It kind of shunts the storm track further north. So that's why you keep getting these systems. They'll drop down and then they'll shoot across like this. And it delivers the Ohio Valley just rain or just a crappy wintry mix. And that's why places like Chicago can't get a snowstorm. And you guys are just like right on the south end of any kind of appreciable winter weather. Come on, Stormy. Okay? Sorry, my cat's over here playing with a piece of paper. But, if we look at the storm system next week, we're getting into this coming Monday. Here comes a little clipper that flies through, delivers a little bit of snow for the northern Midwest and then the Great Lakes region. And a bigger system drops down as we're getting into Tuesday and Wednesday. And the Euro has this being a pretty significant system. A lot of cold air locked in right up here. But it is having a hard time dipping south. You're thinking you're about to get a blue northern right here. Okay, and this is a lot of snow in the Rockies and lower elevations too. And just the Sierra Nevada, things like that. But here comes the low pressure again, shooting across the southern plains, central plains into the Midwest, Mississippi Valley. And the latest Euro has a pretty nasty wintry mix for these sections right here in the Great Lakes regions. And, it tries to deliver some winter weather for you folks in the Northeast. But then another low pressure forms. And, yeah, there's a lot of cold air up here, okay? I can look at the blue lines and I can tell. But you see these red lines or orange lines? That is ridging to the south. This cold air, when it comes to a stout ridge, guys, it is hard to budge it. Very, very hard to budge these ridges. You can knock them down, knock them out for a day or two, and then they come back for more. They are resilient. And once they get locked into the pattern, it is extremely hard to get rid of them. So, another system flies through, but this is pretty far out. But I will tell you guys, I'm going to try to do this on the fly here. We'll look at the EPS, right? And this is going to show you basically troughing and ridging. And what I want you to see here is make sure I'm not, yeah, we're good. What happens here is you see all this blue show up, a ton of cold air in Canada. In fact, let's go on and just look at the entire North America. Okay. First off, you see all this orange right here? That is ridging. When you're under ridging, you're likely to have above average temperature. So the ridge builds and it just stays here. And here, here comes our shot of cold air. There is a lot of cold air, cross-polar flow going right into the northern sections of the lower 48, okay? A lot of cold air in this area. A lot of cold air. But it is not completely smashing this ridge to the south. Okay, so this, briefly, off the European ensemble, you have a favorable pattern maybe sometime next week, maybe for the Northeast. But I can tell you these kind of situations have been trending in the wrong direction for winter weather fans. But you keep this going, the ridge builds again next week, and this is when you get, I think, record warm temperatures sometime for someone in the Southeast next week. And I mean, even Thursday. I mean, look at this. You have a stout ridge. All the cold air. There's a lot of cold air that gets dumped into the lower 48, but it's all displaced into the western U.S. again. It's been a great winter out west. And, I mean, you keep going. A week out, the ridge is just dominating the eastern U.S., especially the southeast. Record warm temperatures. Can we get a warm weekend? I mean, I'll take the warm weather if you give me a warm weekend, but the cold just continues to dump out west. Look at this troughing out west. So you're going to have an active storm track that continues like this. So, yeah. It's, guys, I'm pretty much ready to write off winter. I'll tell you guys that pretty much straight up. And mentally, it's kind of a personal thing because I'm over it. I feel like we never had winter. I try to keep my emotions out of it. I kind of mentally, I checked out of winter probably a week or so ago. I just, with these warm days, as I get older, I appreciate spring a little bit more. I enjoy it a little bit more. And when you get into March and April, you have these cold blasts that it's almost to the point where it's just annoying. And yeah, I'm not rooting for that anymore. Of course, I will take a March snowstorm. And I do think something weird is going to happen in March. Just a gut feeling, no real weather to back that up, nothing that I'm seeing. It's just you just go off your gut feeling like they did back in the day. I think something weird's going to happen in March. I just don't know what. But I do think something weird. Maybe it's something like that happened. What was the second or third? I think it was the second week of March in the Mid-South last year when, Memphis to Nashville to certain, Huntsville got snow. Maybe it's something like that. But something weird always and likely will happen in March. So that's my call. That's all I got, guys. No good news for winter weather fans. But I do think we're going to be dealing with another severe weather episode sometime in the Deep South next week. So God bless all y'all. I do want to briefly mention, I'm just kind of letting this drag on. I need to get to work. There's a chance I won't have a video out tonight. I just want to hang out with the fam, honestly, and spend time with them because tomorrow I'll be running a marathon. I'm not running the entire marathon. I run like a 5.5 mile section of it. And we go from the Lake Murray Dam to the Greenwood Dam here in South Carolina. So I will not have a video in the morning, tomorrow morning, but I will have one tomorrow evening. So just a lot of a big time busy weekend. Then Sunday morning, I moved my mom from one place to the other here locally. So a lot going on, guys. So, but no bad stuff. No bad stuff. Just busy, busy life stuff. So God bless all y'all. Have a great Friday. And I might be with y'all tonight. I might end up getting off work a little bit early. So, but chances are I won't make a video tonight. But God bless all y'all. Have yourselves a great day, and I'll talk to y'all soon.